Welcome, welcome, welcome to Scottish Watches Live this fine Friday. You should see all the usual suspects and a couple, well, actually one suspect and one kind of guy. No, actually two new suspects. We've not seen Mike either. And then there's Jodie. But Jodie's now kind of one of the squad. He's Scottish, so he kind of counts in that way. So let's do what we normally do and start the intros. And we'll start them from the person who is leftmost on my screen on YouTube, and that is Mike. Say who you are, where you are, and what you are wearing on your wrist. That is.
Good afternoon. I am Mike. I run a website called wristwatchreview.co.uk, which is easy for other people to say. I can't say it. And I'm in sunny Hull. Well, it's raining in Hull in England today. And I'm wearing on my wrist, I'll throw it upside down, a Seagull 1963.
Very nice. Then next to my screen is new person to the show. It is Lucy. You can't say where you are because you're skiving at work, but who are you and what are you wearing?
Roughly. I'm finished, by the way. I'm Lucy. You can find me on Instagram at the Watchbox Diaries. I am coming from a very dreary and rainy East England. And I have my very small, my 1945 vintage Longines.
Very good. Next up, Sean.
Hi everybody, I'm Sean from at the Complicated Wrist on Instagram. I'm coming from Washington, DC today, and I'm wearing my JLC sector dial today.
Very nice, very nice.
Very nice.
Derek.
Hey, I'm Derek Hager in Brooklyn, New York. And since we're talking about small brands, I'm wearing the Unimatic U1. That's it.
Cool. And Dave.
Dave, hello, I'm Dave. I'm where I usually am, and I'm wearing a Seamaster 1948.
Oh, very good, very good. Sophie, you're next on screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sophie Rindler at Sophie Rindler on Instagram in not sunny Miami, very rainy too. I guess it's kind of universal today. And I am wearing a Talker Skytrain Hydro Dip Blue.
Did you sneak that out the stock cupboard, did you? And then next up is Ricky.
I am in Scotland and I have just received this wee guy here. Jodie, what's this called?
I believe it's called Bronze Zelos Mako 3.
Yep.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Jodie, who are you? Where are you? And what are you wearing?
My name is Jodie. I have the Just One More Watch YouTube channel. I'm also Just One More Watch on Instagram, and I am in my new house, different from the last time I was with you all in Sydney, Australia, which is why I can't find my old headphones. So I've got the big cans on today, and I was tipped off. So I am also wearing a Zelos Bronze Mako, but this is a Mako 2 with the Meteorite dial.
Ah, very good. Cool, excellent. Right, well, let's just crack on. I'm obviously wearing a panoramic. Let's just crack on with talking to Mike first of all. So, Mike, this is your website. Let's just share the screen for all to see.
I'm sure you picked the right one.
Well, I hope pick the right one. I've not
not my specialist website then.
Other website.
This doesn't look like Live Watches.
Oh, controversial. Anyway, so Mike, tell us how you got involved in this and what your kind of speciality is within Wristwatch Review UK.
Yeah, well, I got into this hobby probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and like everyone does, back 4 years ago, there wasn't a great deal of channels like Jodie's channel, for example, that deals with these lower priced entry-level watches. And you'd find yourself in my kind of situation, Googling, is XYZ mushroom brand watch any good or not? And I started to make a collection, build it up, get more and more watches, as you do, learn about what's good and what's bad. And what I wanted to do on my website is put some kind of a resource together to try and learn, so people can learn about some of these lower price watches that are out there. I rarely cover the bigger brands. I rarely cover expensive brands. Most of what I cover is kind of sub £500. And essentially, I do aim to do two things with the website. First one is to give the opinion on watches that I've bought that I own, which some of them are. And the other one is to try and introduce some of the Kickstarter watches. So a lot of the brands that run Kickstarter campaigns will send me a watch for a week, and I'll take some photographs in my amateurish way. share my sort of basic opinions as a kind of a watch enthusiast that isn't particularly technical about these things. And the question I aim to answer is not, is this watch attractive? Because you've already decided that. It's essentially, is this watch well built and is it worth the money?
Good stuff. So are you and Jody, have we got you and Jody on as competitors then on this particular?
Death match.
No.
I don't think I'm anywhere near his league.
No. Very similar. I think we do a similar thing in a lot of ways.
Good stuff.
Cover a lot of the same watches.
Yeah.
So what are you reviewing at the moment? What have you got lots of stuff in, getting ready, or is it just a steady flow, or do you have to, dig, borrow, and steal like we do?
Yeah, it's been an interesting time because of COVID. I was getting quite a good run of Microbrand watches, Kickstarter campaigns that were coming up. And when COVID hit in China back in March of next year, that seemed to kind of dry up quite a lot. And I had a little bit of a dull period. And most of what is on the front page of my site currently is what I would politely call kind of fashion brand stuff. So it's fashion brands that have got in touch and sent a watch. And so I've reviewed the watch to give them a bit of coverage and so on. But there's not a great deal there. I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but a lot of it is not that exciting. Not to say that it's not good watches or that it's not anything wonderful, but that Neminus that's on the front page, for example, is probably one of the most interesting watches that I've had in for quite some time because it's just so different. So I'm hoping to get a few more things like that over the next few months that are just that little bit different. That have just got something about them that's a little bit outside of the norm. Because I feel like I've done quite a lot of these kind of affordable luxury dress watches recently. I've done a lot of black bezeled dive watches. And I think people are getting a bit sick of those kind of things and want something that's a little bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Dive it out.
Well, see that one that's on the screen just now?
Yep,
that one there. Yeah, that one looks like the Thing from Fantastic Four's ballsack.
But is he not the same? So does this not look like him? Forget about his genitalia area.
Well, we've got to lower the tone somehow.
I think it's interesting. Go on, Mike.
Yeah, I did make that comment, not about the ball sack, but I did make the comment about the thing from Fantastic Four on there.
Great minds.
But, Mike, I have a question for you. What do you qualify as a non-expensive when you say it's like inexpensive watches? What does it mean to you on your platform?
Generally, less than £300, which is what, $350. That's most of what I cover falls into that range. Some of the Kickstarter stuff creeps into the kind of sub £500 mark, but the vast majority of what I cover is kind of 200 quid, that kind of,
okay. Not
ultra cheap, but what I'm looking at is that somebody, for example, who is thinking of going to the high street and buying a watch from the high street, who will see Michael Kors and Rotary and maybe some lower end Seikos, that kind of price range is what I'm trying to do to basically to prove to you what kind of better watches you can get for the same kind of price range.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
Because sometimes inexpensive can have so many meanings, which kind of need to gauge what it means. So yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I don't cover much of the ultra cheap stuff. I put the odd Pagani designer thing onto there every now and again when I've picked one up, but yeah, mainly it's that. It's the people that are looking to buy their first good watch and are wanting to enter into that. And if they don't buy one of the watches featured on my site, they'll probably get a folded link bracelet, fashion brand watch that's fine, but isn't particularly the best way that you can spend that kind of money. So that's what I'm looking at. People that are starting to look into the kind of £500 Christopher Ward and above, sort of mid-range to good watch. Probably not going to find many watches.
Can you get a voucher for them?
Yeah, everyone's got a voucher for them.
There's always the same one. I actually got an email from him today with a voucher. There you go.
I got an email from Mike France today.
Did you? What's he saying?
Mm-hmm. He said he listened to the episode with Nicholas and loved it.
Oh, good. So is he buying a Fears?
We probably got a freebie. I don't know. £100 off.
So, well, exactly. So before we move on then, Mike, at the moment, what is the, let's say the top, and Jody, you should chip in here as well, see if you agree on this. What's the top 3 Microbrand watches currently on sale you think folks should have a look at?
Mike, you go first.
Yeah. I think I struggle to answer that one. But the problem I've got is that most of the watches that I review tend to be Kickstarter campaigns. So the stuff that I like is generally not available outside of that Kickstarter campaign, sometimes for some time later. So the stuff that I've reviewed lately that I think is kind of half decent, you're probably going to struggle to get hold of. I'm just scrolling through looking at what's a microbrand. So I picked up I reviewed the Miles Giriventi Quattro recently, which I think you've had as well, Rick.
Yes.
Which was interesting. It's an interesting brand. I really like the guys behind the brand. And so that was one that I particularly thought was a nice watch worth looking at.
Mike, did you enjoy the Mitch Mason Chronicle? I saw you reviewed that one a few months ago.
Yeah, I quite like that one. It was not the kind of watch that I'd normally have picked up on, that Mitch Mason. It's not normally the kind of thing that I get sent, to be quite honest with you. But I did really like it. I really liked the smaller size. And I started off collecting military style watches, so it's quite nice to have a military style on that one. So yeah, I think that one's is it one of the top 3 that you can currently get on the market? I'm not sure, but it's certainly a decent looking watch. I did prefer the darker dialed one to the lighter styled one.
Yeah, I had a look at a couple of the darker dials. I thought for a first effort, that's really good. And if that guy, if he continues in a similar vein to the one he started in, then I think he'll do really well. I think he's got a good idea, nice design, nice style.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that really struck me about was the leather work and the presentation of the leather watch strap and the leather roll that it came in. All really, really nicely done. And that's somewhere that I see corners being cut all the time. So it was nice to see something half decent.
Cool. And a final one to keep an eye out for?
Well, coming up, I've got a couple that are coming up soon for review, which are quite interesting. And I'm just looking to see what it's called. There's one that I've not actually reviewed it myself, but it's one that was reviewed by a chap called Keith Campbell, who contributes some stuff to the website, called the Zero West P4 Spitfire, which is coming from Zero West, as you might imagine. That's a really nice looking aviation style watch that's got, it's a Spitfire in it, I believe, which I think is what Tribus are also about to do. So that's Tribus are another brand to watch out for.
We're getting 3 of those sent up for a look next week, I think, from Zero West.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you think. I've not had one myself, but I've seen the pictures and the review, and it looks like it's a really solid watch.
Cool.
Good. Okie dokie. Right. Before we move on, we're guys gonna skip to a quick hit miss maybe, because you may have realised that we're one person who's normally here missing, and that is Mr. Phil Philogius, who has had some happy news in that he's just got engaged. So very quickly, we've all seen the photos. Is Philogius' engagement a hit, miss, or a maybe? What do we think? A hit? We think? Yeah, maybe a maybe. Yeah. Okay.
We'll play safe.
That's gonna be a hit.
So I don't know, but he was wearing a very nice A-Lang Zona, I think, that I saw. So we'll see if that continues. Good stuff. Right, Sean, let's have a look at this. This is from Watch Collecting Lifestyle, and caused a bit of a giggle in the chat. This is about an organization called ORIGYN. I assume it's pronounced that way.
Right.
In it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have read in this, while I also break across to what we're terming for this, which is this particular generator, because this seems to be filled with every single buzzword of.
Right. So it's one of those press releases that came out where you read the whole thing and then you realize you have no clue what the hell they were talking about, because it's just a lot of buzzwords, but it breaks down to it's going to be an app that these 3 people with ties to the watch world have come out with, that they're saying you will now be able to take a picture with your smartphone and they will be able to authenticate a watch just by you taking that picture. Very interesting. They don't explain how that's going to work, why they think it's going to work, or how they're going to get the watch community to accept it, because they do talk about how manufacturers are going to be setting it up and that manufacturers will have to provide a digital, I don't know if they call it a template or whatever, to validate the pictures against. And then they kind of imply that there's going to be so much technology that no one else will be able to, hack into it and change the template or do anything of that. But for me, if that's true, if they have that kind of technology, that should be the product they're selling if it's, you know, hacker proof. But they don't give any idea of who these manufacturers are that they're going to be working with, how it's going to work, or how it's any different from like the face technology we have on our phone already that, you know, people have been able to put masks on and like get past the Apple like screen share. So it's just one of those things where it's a lot of hubbub and I don't see it going anywhere, especially since this was the only place I saw reporting it. It just looks like someone paid for an ad, put in a whole bunch of buzzwords.
It's AI and machine learning. What else do you need to know?
I mean,
Rick, go to the top again. The top of that article. The top of the article. The two things that made me laugh the most about it was go to the top was Swiss non-profit. So that proves that it doesn't exist. And then if you go down a little bit, the first thing they then talk about is X £100 million worth of turnover of watches. Yeah. Good luck with that.
But to be fair, is Rolex a non-profit, Swiss non-profit too?
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I believe you.
I mean, Swiss non-profit is totally okay. I mean, it does exist, believe it or not. But the three guys that created this, I didn't have time to look at this before, but they're kind of well known, especially the first two. I mean, Vincent is someone that has been around for a long time. He was the CEO of HYT, and then he started going into a different direction, doing more like liquidation type of things. Along with other partners that he had, and Mark Schwartz is the owner of that brand. What's the name of the brand already? It's a really cool micro brand. I believe that's him, unless it's another Mike Schwartz.
Is it Gorilla?
No, it's a brand that he did in collaboration with Andreas Streller. But I guess it's another Mike Schwartz. It's not the same guy. So my apologies, I thought it was this guy. But the first one, Vincent, is someone that a lot of people know in the industry. And look, it's the trend. Everybody's talking about blockchain. Everybody's talking about authentication. eBay's doing it. We know that. Soma tried to do it. And then you have, I don't know how many dozens of other companies. You have Ariane that is almost owned by Richemont that is doing this. You have another company that is owned by LVMH that is doing it. So is it bullshit? I don't know. It's hard to say, because to me, the biggest issue with this whole process is how do you control the authenticity of a watch once it's sold from a private to a private? And what if that private is a dealer that flips it within days? Then what happens to this watch? How do you track it? To me, that's the biggest flaw of the entire concept of blockchain for watches, is that there is virtually no way of tracking a watch because of the way watches are being traded, generally speaking, within the world, whether it's from a private to a private, from a private to a dealer to dealer. It's just impossible. So at some point, the chain is going to be broken. There's no way it cannot be broken. And after then, how do you find that watch again?
Right, but this one's not talking about blockchain. In this one, you could just take a new picture and get a new authentication, and then you don't need to worry about tracking it.
I think the idea is that the manufacturer takes a photo of the actual watch that they're shipping.
Okay. And then what?
They create a digital template that's going to be accessible by the app. So once you take a picture, it's then going to do its machine learning stuff to compare it versus the manufacturer. What the manufacturer says, this is, you know, the template of what the watch should be versus what your picture is on your smartphone. And then it's going to be able to compare it. And they also suggested that it's going to be able to use, you know, your computer microphone, your smartphone microphone to listen to the watch movement, and they can compare the sounds of the movement. But once again, this all seems like things that could be fake.
Yeah, they're not. They don't. I don't think they're claiming that they can tell it's like a specific watch down to the serial number, but just that it's legitimate based on, you know, assuming that fakes would have some sort of manufacturing issues that you would be able to tell in a photograph, which does seem like bullshit.
But how does this work? How can they tell? Because if you take a photograph in a different type of camera, phone, different microphone to sound what the movement sounds like, there's too many variables.
You're not supposed to ask these questions.
Yeah, that's the machine learning part that we don't understand.
Machine learning.
Yeah,
And I think
see with this
AI
is
Visionary
the minute that
games and leverage revolutionary methodologies in order to make
Skynet is coming.
exploit out of the box portals and exploit sticky paradigms as well to make it all happen. Anyway, there we go.
But I don't understand, how do they monetize this? I mean, non-profit doesn't mean that you can't monetize. So are we paying for the app? Where is the money there?
It sounded like they're expecting manufacturers to foot a lot of the bill, and then they're going to be offering like add-on services to consumers who want to use it. So it sounds like right now they're envisioning like you being able to take the picture and authenticate it yourself for free, because manufacturers are going to be paying to get like their template into the system. And then it sounded like they're toying with the ideas of how to then create add-on things for consumers to do, whether it's, checking the movement sound or whatever. So it doesn't sound like they fully fleshed out the idea. It's just one of those things where they're like, we're doing this. It's basically a cry for money is how I read it. It's like, we have this great idea. We need more funding. Like, someone hop on this boat.
Yeah. Sounds specifically
like a selling point or something.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pitch to a venture capitalist I've ever seen of one.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing must be done to Phil, because the minute that they get it wrong, the minute they get one false positive, or they identify a fake watch as a real watch or a real watch as a fake watch, and that causes a problem for somebody, the entire business model's dead.
Right.
I can't see how they could ever recover from that if it ever gets it wrong once, because no one's going to have any confidence anymore.
Exactly.
Don't things like the technologies they use in face recognition, they struggle with things like twins. So it would have to be
identical.
Exactly.
Yeah, but also machine learning has got its challenges as well, as was proven by the Met Police in London, who installed virtual or the faced identity cameras that started profiling certain people, shall we say, and it wasn't pre-programmed to do it. So I just can't see the technology is too much in its infancy to actually be anything. And when you've got very experienced watchmakers for some of these brands getting super clones brought in, and at first sight they're caught off guard by it, and until they actually get into it aren't thinking, they're thinking, is it or isn't it, until they get into the guts of it. I don't think the technology to just take a generic photograph of something is there yet. It's not even.
So if you show this a picture of a Panerai, does it instantly crash?
I think it just assumes it's fake.
I was going to say, yeah, it's going to say that's the AI learning point. If it begins with P, it's definitely fake.
Okay. Well,
it's funny because when I was working for TrueFacet, we had a software that was actually developed in-house by the tech team of TrueFacet that was doing just that. Literally, we had created this very system where every watch that was coming through the platform was going through the authentication, at least let's say like a 90% to 95% authentication process with this type of imaging comparison that was done by that software that was used, and it worked to some extent. And of course, you could not open the movement, so it was limiting. For watches, it limited to just the overall aspect of the watch.
Yeah, and that's fine if they've got secondary systems. So if a business uses that as a way of getting X percentage through to save time, but then have backup for, not sure if it is or isn't, that's fine. If this is Joe Blogs in the street using an app to go and buy a whatever $2, $3, $4, £10,000 watch, they want it to be 100%.
For sure. Yeah. No, we had a team of experts that was then opening the watch if something was off.
Yeah.
Good. So talking about ideas that perhaps aren't fully fleshed out, let's very quickly touch on another naming convention that perhaps hasn't been fully thought of, particularly in the northeast of England. This is the ORIGYN renaming of Basel. Now, as far as I was concerned, this was kind of old news, but they seem to have rerun the press releases such that it's being picked up in another news cycle.
Is it because they've got a date for it now?
Yeah, I think because they set a date for it.
And what date have they set for it?
It's April 2021. I don't remember the exact date.
April 1st.
8th to 12th, I think. Yeah, there.
Yeah. Well, at the rate we're going at, that'll get cancelled as well.
8 to 12.
personally. We'll see. Jodie and Lucy, have you ever been across any of these big shows?
Not yet, no.
So
I feel like it might be a while until I can.
And
Yeah.
never made the travel from there to any big show, maybe even in Southeast Asia or Australasia?
No, I've not been that far. There was one started in Sydney last year called Watch Fest, and it's back in its second year, but they're doing it over Zoom. So even though we're relatively COVID safe here, it's mid-October and it's all over Zoom. So who knows how on earth they're going to manage that, but that's what they've decided to do.
I mean, I have removed the generator from the earlier article, but actually this press release is just as bad. Customer-focused approach, a new hospitality concept based on fair prices at the local hotel. Oh yeah, good luck. We'll see whether that happens. I think there's very many I'm supposed to be going skiing at that time, and that's already looking sugly. I think big gatherings will probably still look sugly this time next April. So we shall see.
They have a list of exhibitors already in that exhibitor section.
Oh, let's have a look and see. I don't, you know what? I'm clicking on the exhibitors link and it's not doing anything. Hold on, I'll reshare this. So you can go to home. All right, it's a drop. The benefits notice only applications are being welcomed and a list of benefits. Shall we see what the benefits are? Meet relevant by
people.
Yes.
Did they literally just take this generic slide out of PowerPoint and just like put a pretty picture at the top?
Yes.
It does look a little bit like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, it looks like one that they've just taken a template and not changed any of the words either.
Yeah. Like the line even.
Sure, this isn't just the website template that they started off with.
Yeah.
This event looks really good. I want to go to the Lorem Ipsum watch event.
That's her watch brand. She can't give that away. Can't for launching. So yeah, let's. I'm tempted to say that somebody needs to register another version of this website, but I'm not going to give the game away because I'm inclined to do it myself and register the Bro Dinky version of this particular account. So see what happens. Right, so let's play hit this maybe. Let's start here with this JLC Polaris Master collection. I have to say, I think JLC have actually released a decent watch, and it's not dependent on some story to do with horses. What does everybody else think about this?
That's a winner, that watch. Finally, they've done what they should have done.
It's okay if it's just me talking, because none of you are interrupting.
I like it.
Yeah, not what I was expecting, but it's better, I think, in terms of if they were going to do a sports watch, they've done it quite well.
Just expensive, especially for just the date version. I thought it was a little ambitiously priced for a JLC sports watch still.
My observation.
What?
Only is it
like 15.
That's US, so what that's going to be 9,000 UK for the date, probably, give or take, and about what, 13 or 14 for the memo box.
I think it's a bit more than that. But...
You'd be better buying a Christopher Ward.
We're buying a Christopher Ward. Is that not just the rule?
Yes.
So I do like this. I think this is actually the kind of watch that JLC have been missing, a proper sports watch. I think last year it was a bit of a damp squib, or the year before actually it would be now. Yeah. It was a bit of a damp squib. Anybody got JLC in their collection?
I've got a vintage one.
Nice.
I'm wearing my sector dial today from 2017 because when I think JLC, I still think dress watches. Like, I just don't think sports watches, and I don't think 11 grand sports watch. I'll stay on the Rolex waiting list for the next 5 years before I buy that.
It's 10,000 UK for the date one, 9,900 it is, and it's 15,800 for the memo box in UK. It's a lot of money.
I think if it was that was a long
one I looked at earlier for 15.
Because to me that looks like a Longines kind of watch. If it was that kind of watch at 2,500, even 3,000, I think it probably sell really, really well. It'd be quite a cool thing. But I just think at that price, they're sitting themselves squarely into the kind of territory where you don't buy a watch because it looks good. You buy it because it's got resale value or it's got some inherent thing about it.
On it.
The brand, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like in a couple of years, secondary market, this is going to be like $7,000. Like I would just wait to pick it up then, and at that price, you're getting a bargain at that point. But new, I think that's a stretch.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's a great watch, but it's a great watch to pick up once somebody else has taken the depreciation out on it. But we'll wait for that. I see Jodie has vanished. Maybe they just shut the electricity down in Australia for the evening. So we'll see if he reappears. So hit miss maybe on this particular JLC.
Jodie just messaged to say my wife's laptop just shat itself.
I like it. I do like it.
That would
watch, yes. Price for the watch,
same.
probably not.
That's
much as it would be a hit, but then you'll
to me as a pure watch game, yes. As a price,
yeah, me too. Hence the maybe. Same thing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So this is next up is a watch. I don't think anybody was expecting this particular beast to appear. The original is a very handsome watch. This also looks pretty cool. This is the Blancpain. This is on Hodinkie's site. The Blancpain 50 Fathoms Day-Date Desert Edition. Now,
it's a hand heart.
Well, A, it looks like that hand heart, but B, the idea of a Desert Edition dive watch does somewhat.
It's okay. Hey.
Just in case there's a really deep oasis in the desert,
They're part of that. They're part of that greater group that provide Speedmaster sailing watches. So you know how it works.
Do you think someone was just on the drugs? A little
They mixed the watches up. That was what was meant to sponsor the sailing team.
And they were supposed to write. Yeah, that's a very good point. So it's a lovely looking watch, though. Has anyone? I've got a bit of experience with the bathscans, and they're great. I particularly like there's one that's a triple date, which again is completely pointless in a dive watch, but is very cool. But I do like the look of this. What's the general thoughts and consensus?
I like it.
I think
too.
I would go ahead.
Looks
Sorry.
like the 7750 movement. I don't know what. I'm sure hopefully that's not what they used, but just the display with the date and the day. To me, it's never been something that looks high end, but that's personal. I like the colors though. I think it's original. It's different for them.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would like it a lot more without the date. I think it does give it like a Seiko 5 kind of look.
Yeah, I thought that. I think if you're gonna have that date on it, at least have it a light coloured date wheel to match the bits around the outside. But I'm not sure I like those metal numbers around that side. It looks like it should have an internal bezel, and instead it's got these kind of extra little metal bits. So for me, it's just not pulling together. It looks. I tell you, what it reminds me of. It reminds me of when you get like an oversized Invicta type watch with a tiny little quartz movement in the middle. That's what it sort of brings to mind for me. Obviously, it's not the case because the date's going to the end, but it looks like it's got kind of a dial set in the middle of the dial space.
Yes, it does. Now that you mention it, all right, okay, I can't unsee that now.
We have Jodie back as well.
Good stuff. I'll let them in. We have like no, I don't see him on the list yet. Have you let him back in? Oh, you've let him back in. That's good. Yeah, like a wee mini watch inside a great big watch. Also,
for now.
Yeah, you're there. It looks
watch inception.
It looks a bit like Oris. There's an Oris that's got where the numerals are over a kind of background. I can't remember which one it is, but it still does look pretty cool.
How much is the Blancpain?
This is. How much do you think it is, Sophie? What would you pay for this watch?
Well, there is no. At first, I thought it was a chronograph when I saw the day and the date, and I figured, why did they remove the whole chronograph look? But it's just a day and the date. It's just like there is not much going on there. It's Blancpain, so yeah, I'm not surprised about the price now that I see it. I was expecting something more like in the entry level Blancpain, like 9,500.
Yeah, it's 12,700 limited 500.
Bit different.
It certainly is a bit different, no doubt about that. So hit miss maybe on this one.
I'm not a fan of the hands. I don't know why. I just don't feel like they fit. So
yeah.
So all it looks like it's a universe. It's a maybe trophy, and I think it's a miss from everybody else. Jodie,
I'll give it a maybe.
Me too.
If you're going to buy a 55,
I quite like the colours, but
yeah, like the dial colour is really nice.
If you're going to get a 50 fathoms, it has to be the automatic, not the Bathyscaphe.
Yes, if you want the whole original OG of going on with divers. Right, we spoke about this in the podcast with Dave. Let's get the general opinion now that this has rolled on to the rest of the world, away from Jodie's area. The Tudor Royale collection. Now, I thought this had an E in the end of it. But is it not?
No, it doesn't. We had that joke. It's not a cheeseburger.
Actually, it doesn't have that. I still thought it had me in the end.
It's just the way that Dave pronounces watch brands.
Royale. Well, here's an interesting story about this one then. So this is what, 1,700-ish quid for the 41.
Oh. So
in the UK, these are boutique only, and there is one boutique in the UK. And as it stands already, on the 41 blue, on the bracelet, non-diamond, there is already a quote, year to year and a half waiting list.
No way.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
Retailer for Tudor. I am absolutely doing my...
I spoke to the young Declan about this, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll check for you. And then he texted me the next day and said, yep, so it's boutique only, and there's only one boutique in London, and they've already got a waiting list for it.
That's just for the blue one?
Basically for any of the ones that you would want. And most folk want this one.
Wow.
So basically, Tudor need to bring out a third brand. So you've got Rolex, Tudor, and then Tudor Junior that's attainable.
So a 1,700 quid Tudor that initially never launched in Europe or America because they didn't think it would probably sell here. They're finally launching it, and they're being assholes about it already.
That's outrageous. If I'm a retailer, because so many lower end retailers, the great big brands also sell Tudor, and Tudor's probably the top brand they sell in their store. I'd be absolutely raging with what else is going on in the world not being able to retail this. That's astonishing.
It looks to me
I was gobsmacked.
They've taken somehow all the best bits of Rolex and Tudor watches from the ages, thrown them away, and then made this watch out of what was left.
It's a no from you then.
It's a nice.
It's an homage for the Fly Magic.
Awful. It's awful.
It's also got that constellation case design to it. So is this an opportunity for Omega to be like, oh, you can't get this Tudor in the West. How about you actually come and start buying constellations in the West now? Like, because this is a shape that's like, it launched in Asia first because they sell in Asia. Like the constellation for Omega sells in Asian markets. It's never really sold well in Western markets. And so Tudor launching this in Western markets is interesting. And it's kind of making me wonder, is the waiting list contrived? Are they kind of shortening supply just to kind of build up hype to kind of actually get people to want to buy something like this in the West now? Or is it actually...
I mean, they're learning bad habits from their father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a generic stainless steel ETA movement watch at 1,700 quid. They can make as many as they fucking want.
Yeah. It's a good looking watch. I like it.
It is. I agree.
Like the way
Especially
the integration of the bracelet is with the case, it's really nice. I don't like the bezel too much. I think it's a little bit, it's a little bit busy, and it doesn't, I don't know why. Like, I don't understand really the reason for this. I think it would be so much nicer if it was sleek and would just bring out the integration of the bracelet. But it's what, $2,300 US, right? If it's 1,700.
Yeah, I think.
Pounds?
Yeah, just over 2,000 they start at, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good price if you can get them.
But Tucker is coming up with a date in a few months, and I promise you, they won't be a wait list, and you can have it, and it will be less expensive.
This episode sponsored by Tucker.
Always the saleswoman.
Tell you then, send you the invoice shortly.
Shameless plug.
Well, should we not speak to Jody about what's been happening with his channel recently and videos that are doing quite well for him since he's a guest?
So does that then mean we can invoice both Jody for promotion, Sophie for promotion, and then Mike for promotion, or does he get his first one free?
Well, what you can do is you can send out invoices and stuff and send them to Live Watches and see if they get paid.
Okie dokie. So Jody, what is happening in Jody world? You and Ricky are wearing Zelosses, so I'm assuming something Zelos is on the go.
I think his laptop's frozen again.
It does look rather stationary. Okay, let's assume that Jody and let's finish. Although yes, it does take. It is a bit slow. Let's finish the Tudor stuff by doing Hit Miss Mary on this then. So Hit Miss Mary on the Tudor Royale while we see what Jody's up to. I think it's a mixed bag of hits and misses. I'm just looking to see. All right, Jody has now disappeared, so hopefully you will reappear shortly. Good stuff. Right, we're at 40 minutes or so. Let's have a look, seeing as Jody is not here.
Yeah, his internet is crap. He's just moved into the house, so yeah.
All right, okay. So we may or may not see Jody back, but let's very quickly go through this. I can't remember who put this in the chat. I know nothing about this subject other than I'm completely confused now as to what it is that Seiko are doing with this range, because there seems to be one every 2 minutes.
It's Street Fighter Junior.
I read this as the burrito originally, but clearly not. So who are these people? Nobody.
I don't. It's an anime stuff.
Yeah,
I believe.
I've heard of Naruto, just not the other one.
So
who was it who did was it the Street Fighters?
Yeah, they're really similar to the Street Fighter stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty cool, but honestly, if no one, there's a third one. Oh right, I thought there was just two. Okay, there's a full range. That's
one
quite.
For each character.
Research, Rick. Research.
But it's a watch I'm not particularly interested in, other than so. Oh my God.
I feel like these would be great for kids.
Yeah, until you discover that they're boutique only and $7,000. They're €4.
God, blimey, they're a bit big for kids as well, aren't they?
What's
weapons?
Just they're 42 millimeters.
40.5.
Yeah.
I saw one of the Street Fighter ones today, actually, and they're really nicely made. I think it's just sub 400 UK. It actually was. The color palettes are pretty strong, to be fair, but actually it was quite a nice piece.
Who did you see it?
See, that looks like the dial of the other one.
Somebody was wearing it who works in the Rolex boutique in Glasgow.
Good stuff.
Which did humour me greatly.
These are quite nice, I have to say. I mean, I don't get the cultural reference, but just as standalone watches and a colour palette, so they're actually quite pleasant.
Yeah, some of the, I'll say, plainer ones, more simple ones, are quite nice.
Yeah. Good. So I'm not eliciting any particular strong opinions here. Oh, one of them, no, it's not a Pokemon who are saying that in the chat. It's something else. People fighting each other. So hit miss maybe on this. A distinct shrug, a distinct meh.
For the price.
Yeah.
If you like it.
If you like that thing.
It would be really good if you're really into those characters. That's about it.
You like burritos. So let's go then to this. Now, Jody is away and shows no signs of coming back. So I'll rely on Ricky's great knowledge of Zelos then, shall we, Ricky?
Oh, Mike.
Mike,
I'm not too good I've never seen a Zelos in real life, so I'm not very good at it.
So
I actually have one of these Makos right here as well.
Yep.
Saved. Perfect.
I just didn't happen to be wearing it.
So which one is it that's coming out? This is the Mako 40mm diver. This is this thing. Only you've got it in bronze.
It's the version 3.
Version 3. So
yeah, they kind of release them in waves. Like they'll release 5 or 6 colors, and then they'll do a bronze series, and then they'll do a new stainless steel series with different colors, and it's hard to keep track of.
I mean, that's a $400 bronze watch. You know, if it ticks and keeps vague time, that's not a bad gig.
Well, this has only been here for about an hour, and it's really nice.
But it's 17 minutes behind already.
Thankfully, I'm a watchmaker, so I can fix these kind of things.
That's what...
Did I tell you about the Louis Monet watch that I fixed yesterday?
No, go on.
I fixed the watch yesterday.
How did you fix it?
I'm not telling.
Did you return it under warranty?
Did you make it?
Well, the watch was like this, and it wouldn't move, as in wasn't going round, and I may have done something to get it going again.
Yeah, the Vostok slap.
Yeah.
Is that the term hashtag Vostok slap?
That's
Won
how
a
you get
50
your
grand
Vostoks working
watch.
again when they stick.
So so tell us about the Zealous then. Is it decent?
Yeah. Seems to be.
Insightful.
It is decent, well finished. The chapter ring, the bezel is good. Everything lines up. The hands look decent. It's got a kind of swirl effect in the dial. Color-coded date disc. Yeah, for the money, it's pretty damn good, and it's got some nice polished edges as well in the case flanks.
Cool. It's $400.
I thought it was $1,000.
Is that right?
I thought because I thought for some reason these were $1,000, and if it's 400, that's incredible.
Yeah, they're $399 US. I've had a few different Zealous over the years, and they're always really, really well done for the money.
Yeah.
Would you pay $1,000 for it?
Zealous has always struck me as the brand that, like Halios, it's the Halios if Halios was able to scale up and actually produce a lot of watches for the matches. Like the kind of quality and colors you get, that you kind of get that from Zealous if you can't get your Halios.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as to would I pay $1,000 for it? No, because it's not my style, but I'm going to do some macro stuff and see what it's like under magnification, but it really is decent, really good. It's Christopher Ward quality so far, and they're up to about $1,000.
Yeah.
Is this the guy? This is like a one-man band, isn't it? Am I
Not too sure.
And they produce all sorts of meteorite stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've used quite a few unusual materials over the time. They've done like a Damascus steel case. And they did actually
forged carbon stuff.
Yeah, they did that as well.
It's got a fish on the back.
Chinese alternatives.
Are they using Japanese movements?
Minolta, I think.
Yeah, and they also produced the tourbillon, same tourbillon that Orage were supposed to use. If I seem to remember, it's all coming back to me. This is the meteorite one. That's quite pretty for $600.
I don't understand how they can be profitable. It just makes no sense. I would love to talk to them and understand how they.
There is more, Rick.
What's more?
There's more, and there's more. So it comes with a really funky metallic warranty card.
All right.
Right. Am I full screen just now?
Can put you full screen.
Yeah. I'll show you what comes. Right. Wooden box.
That's not bad.
Really good.
Nice.
And comes with decent leather with soft internals. So if that's only, as you say, what was it, $400, $600 with all this stuff? Not bad.
Oh, it's amazing.
Sophie, it's because they don't live in a pen in Miami like you do. That's why.
Yeah, they came from Singapore.
Yeah, but still, I think that I'm curious to understand the structure of the brand to be able to offer these prices to the public and be profitable and not produce in mass quantities.
Do you want me to invite them on to SWL and we can have a chat about it?
Yes, go for it. I mean, we can send them their username and password right now if you want, if you think they'll come on in the next 14 minutes.
Doubt they will. Doubt they will.
Then that will be fine. So, Seiko hit miss maybe? I think this is quite decent. Yeah, it's right up there with, so last week was, what was the watch that looked a bit like that JLC that you were wearing, Sean, that got
the Baltic.
Yeah, the Baltic.
HMS.
This is right up there with the Baltic then.
What is it we're talking about?
Of that. What?
Is it Zelos you were just asking about there? HMS maybe?
Zelos.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you hit your head and lost your memory from...
No, I'm too busy just looking.
You're too being private.
Mesmerised.
Dave,
You look like you're in kind of an advert for Zelos right now, holding up the watch and...
Good stuff. Right, we will skip over to this one, which I won as to how many hands it was and what I actually did on the podcast with Dave.
Yeah, apart from the fact you got the name entirely wrong.
So apart from getting the name entirely wrong, I got everything else entirely right. This is this is from Oris's own website, the Reno air races. Any of you stateside people been to the Reno air races? Nope. Good.
Wrong side of the states for me.
Yeah.
Right. Reno on the other side, is it?
Yeah.
I really like the look of this. I think it's a lovely looking watch. What do you guys all think?
I like it too. It's simple. It's nice.
Yeah.
Is that the date wheel in the middle of it? I can't quite see on the dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you zoom in?
Yep, if you hold on,
Little.
share that.
It's a lot of functions for a €2,500 watch.
Unfortunately, Oris's website is not allowing me to zoom
Scroll
in.
down a bit.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, it is a roulette center,
Right.
8 wheel,
Oh, okay.
and a GMT hand.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's it. That.
Yeah.
That is lovely.
Aren't some of
I
those
wish
big
Oris would
crown...
stop making good watches.
Aren't some of those big crown pilots bigger than this one? Because when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be about 44 because it just looks bigger, but 41 is pretty good.
Yeah, Speedmaster size, isn't it?
Good size. Yeah, it's a lovely watch, and the loom looks pretty cool as well. They do good loom, do Oris, and the blue loom they do is always really nice.
That case back too. That's a nice engraved sort of design on that.
Yeah, it's limited edition with the Reno Air races, the kind of blow up things that you have to drive your plane around. Whatever it is you do in the plane.
Drive your plane around.
Discretionary landings.
Landings. Yeah, they really should make one with if it was me flying it, they'd have to make one with those orange bezel things on it that Bremen do for when I crash, inevitably. So, hit miss maybe on this Oris. I quite like this. What is it?
Yeah.
It hits.
Unanimous.
Getting full marks today.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if we can ruin that line for a minute by at this, which I suspect will not be a global hit. Certainly if Arthur or Dan were on, it would not be. This monochrome Ulysses Nardin 42mm.
Jesus Christ.
What happened there? Is it melting?
That's better. That polo watch.
The polo's back.
Christ.
I take the polo over that one.
Just don't understand. They're having quite a decent run of it, Ulysses Nardin, with that diver that looks like, that kind of takes on that carbonite doxa thing. I don't know what they're doing here. So what the dual time is shown by a time numeral at 9 o'clock, and then it's got a big date at 2. It just looks wrong.
Awkward. Shite.
This is so much going on in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
your eyes all over the place.
it
Looking
made
at
work better.
It's too busy. It's too confusing.
I mean, the digital looking GMT thing is interesting. I'll give it that much.
I'll be thinking out of the date though.
Yeah, it's confusing with the date.
And why have they made one of them round and the other one's square?
And white and black.
It's 2 different fonts, I think. It looks like 2 different fonts, although you can't tell. Let's say, but that 9 does not look like the same font set as that 8 or the 2.
And they had to label it dual time just because they know you're not going to get it. If you have to tell someone what it is because you already know your customers aren't going to get it, that should be the first clue.
Yeah, I mean, that is the typical dual time of Ulysse Nardin. It's not new, but it just now it's crazy with that date on the other side. that is not even, it's not even symmetrical.
Like the numbers have got different spacings in between them, and it like really upsets me.
It's so weird. I like the bracelet. I'll give them that.
And why bother putting the no? Well, what even is? No, that's a
BI.
No,
but that's
yeah.
It's meant to be IX, but yeah, it's like been cut off so that you've no idea if it's an upside down V or an X.
God.
No, but
It isn't IX is 9, isn't it?
IX
It's BI 6.
I think it's upside down.
It's cut.
What schools did you not go to?
There you go.
It's not a V.
But then the 12 is so long.
Okay, one at a time. That one at a time being me. This at the bottom looks like it says I and X in that it's cut halfway, which would be 9.
Yeah.
And that's at 6 o'clock.
But it's upside.
9 is also
No. Because look at the one at 9 o'clock. The little triangle part cut out is much smaller than it is at 6 o'clock.
Well, that looks like it says 4.
It looks like
Right,
I think
okay.
it's just
Let's just all agree it's fucking atrocious and move on.
Yeah.
It is messed up, man.
Do you want me to get Ulysse and Nardin on the next show?
yes.
Please.
Get him on and we'll kill him it straight.
Oh, so-
No,
What's the
just
nervous
keep
twitchy
going.
start?
Right way up.
What's the
How is that in any way?
It's an upside down VI.
It is upside down, but
I'm not
why? No.
Upside- If it was
We're going to have to get Roman numerals up as well.
That's
On
up
Google.
the wrong way round. Because upside down, it should be I and V. If that's upside down, that should be the other way around, surely.
Because if that's
No,
upside down,
that's right.
If that's
That's
upside down, if that's upside down, that would be
It's 6 VI.
yeah, VI.
Anyway, okay.
the color
Rick,
palette.
you're wrong as usual. Move on.
Hang on. Yeah, it doesn't look
That's just right. Okay, and depressed with how much does it cost? Depressing. Tell
Right.
us.
Looks like a oblong.
Because if that's more than 250 quid, 22,000 euros.
Oh, word.
My life.
gold. It's 8,300 in steel, which is actually
No, that's not. It's not. Do not say that's good. Do not say that's good.
I would not pay $830 for that.
I was going to say, yeah. If that was
Yeah.
499, I'd still not buy it.
It's a Picasso watch.
Wow.
that's bad. What's everybody saying in the chat? There's also the debate going in the chat about what the numeral actually is.
It's also 42 mil.
That's a proper size of watch, Dave. You need to learn.
It's even the bottom, to go back to you, Rick, the bottom number, it looks like the line is not even straight. It looks like
And it's only. Did that also say only the 42-hour power reserve?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me go back because this is.
Please don't.
Yeah, it's 42-hour power reserve. Wow.
Are we that has bezel actually has the bezel misaligned? Is that what we're saying?
it's like the line of that number on the bottom, whatever that is, the middle one,
Yeah.
that one.
It should be connected to something.
It's like wavy.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a straight line across. It waves.
Yeah. You've got to have one complete one to be able to cut it off like that, and it makes sense.
Oh my God, this is so bad.
It's a mess. Let's hope that this is a render. Actually, a Photoshop. Anyway, can I suggest we do a hit miss maybe as we close? Let's reveal the scores in the
Do we need to?
Oh, Mike's giving it a yes. Has added an S. That's an extra.
An S hit.
We'll add minus points for this. As the first watch to score -1.
Did you guys see the new Richard Mille?
The Nadal one.
Yeah.
Yes, with the tennis racket on the dial.
It's like 12 grams. They reduced it 1 gram. Yay. But yeah, it's also one of I don't know what to think about this watch.
Well, talk amongst yourselves about it. For those that know it well, I'll find you a picture
The
of
one
it.
that has like the 3 numerals. It's got like a 2 and a 9. It's it's just weird looking on the dial.
It's weird looking, but it's like the more you look at it, and it becomes kind of interesting. Forget the price; it's Richard Mille, so
It's like over $1 million, I think. Yeah.
$1,050,000, I think, because why not add that extra 50 grand on? Just
that's the postage.
Why not?
It's a rounding error.
I'm still trying to find the thing.
It just sounds really uneven. I don't think my eyes could deal with it.
Colors, and it's interesting, but it doesn't work. Like if I had $1 million, I'm surely buying another vacation home rather than that.
Because you are normal. You're not. You're not a Richard Mille.
Nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
You're not a Richard Mille buyer.
I have found it, so I will be displaying it shortly. So I was finding the Downfall watch that we spoke about on an earlier podcast, which also Richard Mille.
Oh yeah.
This is a new one, right? Here we go. This is the Richard Mille. Is this because of a 10-year anniversary sponsoring the Dow? I think this is Houdin.
Jesus, that's ugly.
It is. It's a
No.
watch.
I thought it was like a
I was thinking
blueprint or like a picture of a watch.
There you go. Here's the man himself wearing it for one shot. I don't think he's actually playing it. He's hitting a Ulysses Nardin across the net.
It looks like he's smashed a tennis ball and half the parts have fell out of the watch.
It's not a pretty piece, is it?
It's some time on it.
Ridiculous. It's different. There is something about this watch. It's kind of mesmerizing. Like you're kind of hypnotized by it. At least I am.
Drunk to spend $1 million quid.
Is this a case of just because you can doesn't mean you should?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they made. If it's only one.
50. 50.
50? 50?
Yep. 50. Yeah.
Surely they'll never actually make 50 of these, will they?
Wow.
Gotta be 50 people in the world that will pay over $1 million for something like that. I'm sure they'll.
You think?
All the way to the
Too
bank.
much money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of special people out there.
And then finally, we'll spare their blushes for Hitmas maybe, but what I'd like to do is just quickly touch on this. Unfortunately, can't increase it, but this is a post from Phillips auction house, and they have a full set of the new Rolexes already up for auction. So what do we think about the fact that someone's already managed to go into an AD, buy the whole lot, get through the AD's Rolexes, really close relationships don't flip these, and has already got them up for auction. And Dave, is it you?
Just sums Rolex up.
Is it La California? They went and bought them all and now auctioning it off.
to pay their
Yeah.
The best story ever.
The irony in the win, moral victory.
Yes, there we go. So that's happening at some stage. It's apparently a Hong Kong watch auction, which I actually can't find on Philip's website, but there we go. Good stuff. Right, we'll draw this to a close. Unfortunately, Jodie vanished halfway through. They dragged him back off to prison. Mike, what's coming up on Wristwatch Review UK in the foreseeable future?
Let's have a look. Won't be a second. I've got... I think I've just published the Neminus, haven't I? That was the last thing. And then I've got a couple lined up, which are the Carl Watch Multiverse, KAAL. Interesting, I shall say. I'll say no more than that. It's one of these unusual ones. I think it's not dissimilar to the one that we've just looked at. And then after that, a couple of fashion brands. I've got the Zero West coming up, which is an interesting one that's going to be in there, and hopefully in the new year I'm going to branch out a little bit and do some more interesting kind of articles about things other than watch reviews. So keep your eye open for some of those, some the buyer's guides, eBay buyer's guides, buying cheap Seiko, that kind of thing.
So it's not that you're branching out into your Commodore 64 habit?
No, I'll leave that for my other life.
Good stuff. Good. And what is everybody else looking forward to this week? Lucy, what are you looking forward to in the world of watches? We didn't really spend much time talking to you specifically about your own collection, but
right.
Find you online.
Find me online. Usually on there. Don't know. I'm looking for a diver, I think, next in terms of my collection. I've got a lot of vintage, so maybe something I can take out in the rain without worrying about, other than my OP, which has now been discontinued. So always a bonus.
There you go. now. It'll be worth something. And anybody else? What else is coming up? Sean, Dave. Dave, you've got a big week next week, presumably with the Snoopy.
No idea what you're talking about.
Not a clue. Not a clue.
What time are you coming over on Monday again?
Good stuff. Well, keep an eye out on the website because there will be Snoopy action about there, so to speak. And Sophie and Sean, you get anything, Derek?
Yeah, there's a good watch show that is happening in the US. It's called Microlux. And it's going to be virtual. And I'm going to try to see if I can find the link so you guys maybe can post it in the comments. Because many brands are going to be participating, including major brands like Breitling and others of that caliber. And for the first year, it's going to be held virtually. It's usually taking place in Chicago. And it was originally more for Microbrands. And I guess, everybody's kind of hungry for a show. And Ariel Adams from A Blog to Watch is very involved in that show. There's going to be a lot of interviews that are going to happen with brand owners and new releases. So I think it's going to be interesting for everyone to log on and check it out. It's going to be, I believe, in the middle of October or end of October. But I will send you the link.
Does that have anything to do with Watch Time? Because Watch Time is also doing their stuff, but they're doing it all online, and it's also in the middle of October.
Yeah,
no, it's control of their Instagram account at the moment.
I think they got it back. Yeah.
Because they keep losing it again because we keep getting people swearing at us through Instagram.
Yes, because we exchanged direct messages with them after they got hacked. Continuing on for that, the person that's hacked keeps on getting back on somehow and rude messages. At least we think it's them. They're claiming that it's them as opposed to them just taking the mic directly.
They keep saying things about Rick's mum.
I don't think it's my mum they're talking about. I'm sure.
Your mum.
Okay, thank you all very much for joining us this week. I think next week will be quite a big week in the world of watches, so tune in again next Friday. You can also find last week's Scottish Watches Live as a podcast. That will go out shortly, and then this one will go out as a podcast next week, and all the back catalogue there is if you're interested. Arthur and Dan are not on this Sunday, but we will have special stuff happening in the world of the Scottish Watches podcast next week. There are changes afoot.
Do I know about these?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm fairly sure we had a 30-minute phone call about 2 hours ago agreeing them, but there you go. That might just be my impression. So you will see. You might see that happening next week, or Ricky might get his memory back, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, thank you all very much for joining me. And as we say, is goodbye from me and goodbye from all of them.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.